Hey, what's going on, guys? So I picked up this pair of Sennheiser HD800s used. I got a really great deal on them. They're a little older. The serial number is in the 9000s, and as you can see, they're a little beat up. They got some paint chips and scrapes and scratches and whatnot, which is, fairly common for an HD800. This silver paint they used is not the sturdiest, and just over time it tends to get a little scratched up and beat up. The whole reason for this is I picked them up because I basically wanted to get these guys as close to a Sennheiser HD800S as possible for the least amount of money. I think right now the 800S, I think the MSRP on those is about $1,600. I paid less than half of that for these. I'm not going to get too much into detail about the differences between the 800 Classic and the HD800S. Basically, I'm just going to get right into the meat and potatoes and show you guys my process of kind of modding these. First, I'm going to disassemble these guys. Then I'll show you the process of building the SuperDupont mod. I'll get into that a little bit too, and giving these guys a new slap of paint. Alright, so taking a look here at all of the tools I'm going to be using for this project, starting with the actual disassembly. Get just a flathead screwdriver. You're going to need a smaller pair of pliers. And then you're going to need, I went down to my local hardware store and picked up this set. It's just a mini screwdriver set, but you're going to want to make sure that it's got these. You're going to want these star bits. That's what you need to actually take the driver out of the HD800 and open it up. So these little star bits are what you're looking for, T4, T5, T6. So yeah, you're going to want to get a set of this. This was like $8 at the hardware store. And then going to the SuperDupont mod, you're going to want to get some of these. These I already had. These are those pads that you put like under furniture, like chairs or tables, that let them slide along the floor easily. It's got an adhesive on the back. You're going to want to get the thinner ones though. I also have some of these thick ones. But for the SuperDupont mod, you're going to want to go with the thinner ones. And I mean, these you can get at, Walmart, Home Depot, or someplace like that for like a couple of bucks. You're also going to want to get some of this Creatology foam. They sell this stuff at like Michael's. This is like $2 or $3. You find it in the kids' craft aisles. It's a very thin foam. You're going to want some super glue. A good pair of needle nose pliers. You're going to want to get this here. It's a punch set. Again, I got this from my local hardware store for, I think it was like $6. This is what you're going to use to punch the perfect little circles that are going to go inside this little ring here on the HD800. That's going to be your SuperDupont mod. I think we're going to end up using the 3/16 inch and the 7/16 inch, I believe. We'll find out, but I'm pretty sure those are the ones we're going to be using for that. And then a mallet. There you go. And then lastly, for the paint job, get some masking tape. And I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover Satin. So basically satin is going to be, and also it's good for plastic apparently. So satin is going to be, it's not going to be quite as glossy as semi-gloss, but it's going to have just a tiny bit more shine than say like a matte black. And yeah, I am using a spray paint, but I looked into doing like an automotive paint with an airbrush, and those actually are pretty expensive. It doesn't have to be like super professional looking. I mean, I'm going to end up keeping these anyway, so, you know, it's not that big of a deal if it doesn't look like, you know, some automotive place or even like a colorware, because colorware is expensive too. I'm just trying to get this, you know, as inexpensive as possible. But, you know, I'm going to do my best to make it look professional, but I don't think I'm going to need like a air spray gun or really expensive paints to do that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Might look like shit. Who knows? Okay, so the first step of taking these apart, I guess probably the first thing to do is take off the pads. So you basically just get your fingers right under here. Just give it a nice little tug. There we go. So they'll pop right out. Go ahead and take out both of these. There we go. And these little guys right here, these will fall right out. But you'll also see later on that there's another screen, like a mesh in there that we're going to remove. But yeah, those will just come right out. So then the next step is there's these little hinges here that you have these pins right here. And if you look at the back side, you'll see a little pin there, and it's got a little like dimple right there in the center. You're going to use your flathead screwdriver to push this pin out just a little bit, just enough to get this guy up a little bit. So just very carefully kind of put the edge of your flathead screwdriver right in there and just give it a nice little push. You'll kind of feel it give just a little bit. You'll see that the pin is popped up just a little bit after giving it a nice nudge with your screwdriver. So then you're going to very carefully, see if I can do this so you can see. There we go. Okay, so once that pin is out, this cup will come right off the headband, and you will notice there's this little spring. It might fall out. Just make sure not to lose it. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little star-shaped thing here, and this spring will actually stay right on there. But when you put it back together, you're definitely going to want this spring. So put this in a safe spot. I'm just going to put it over there. So again, I'm going to go ahead and push this other one through. Just give it a nice little push there. You got to give it a little bit of force. I mean, you don't have to manhandle it or anything, but pull it right out. There we go. So there. So you got your cups off. Boom. So kind of as an aside, if you got an older HD800, this padding here will actually come right off if you need to wash it, because you know these things do tend to get dirty. I've already washed this one actually when I first got them in the mail, because it definitely had a funky odor to it, so I washed it. But if you just give it a nice little tug, it sounds like you're breaking it, but you're not. Just kind of, it's these. You'll see these little plastic clips here. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. So like these little plastic clips here just pop right into this plastic, so it just comes right off. So we'll just pull this off. You can wash this. I would recommend like a mild soap, and just wash it with warm water with your hands and let it air dry, and that'll do the trick. Okay, so next step is going to be taking the hinge off here, or I guess this is the arm or the yoke or whatever you want to call it. So for these two right here, you're going to be using the T7 bit out of that set that I got. This is the T7 bit, and I believe these are all standard, so whatever set you get, I'm sure they're all going to be the same. So I'm just going to take these out. And then there's a little metal piece right here that's going to kind of fall out once you do that. So there's that. There's another plastic piece here. This little plastic piece is going to come out as well. And then here comes your arm. Alright, so there's that. So next we're going to be taking out these 4 4 star head screws out of the center right here by the driver. For this one, you're going to use the T6. So we're going one step down from the T7 to the T6. Needless to say, this is the part where you need to be the most careful because you're pretty much right next to the driver. So don't poke holes through it or anything, otherwise you're going to not be having a very good day. By the way, I'm actually not recommending that anybody do this. Really, it's just something that I wanted to do just to see if I can make it happen. So once you take out the 4 screws here, this ring will come right off. So that comes off, and that I'm going to be painting also. And then this little mesh grill, this outer grill will come right off. Just like so. So the next step is you're going to take your flathead screwdriver and you're going to kind of work this entire black part, the plastic. This all comes out of the silver part. So just kind of gently work your flathead screwdriver all the way around the edge, and you'll kind of feel it start to pop out a little bit. Don't push too hard. And as you can see, I just did one more little click and the whole thing comes out of this. And so here's your driver. This is where all the HD800 magic happens, right there. So put that somewhere safe. Actually, I'm going to put that right there. So now we've got this, and we can prep all this for paint. As far as the prep goes for the paint job, just took a soft cloth and some window cleaner and just scrubbed them down really good. One thing I did realize though, this high definition driver, 300 ohms, so that's going to be gone because I mean there's no way to really keep that if I'm going to be painting over these in black. So, you know, I'm not too heartbroken over it. Don't care about the left and right because I mean there's only one way to put the headphones on. So, you know, it's not like... The one cool thing is, because you're going to need to know which one is left and right when you're putting them back together, is the left has these little bumps on them and the right does not. So that's actually kind of nice. Anyway, none of that matters. So I'm going to be painting over all this stuff here in just a bit. Okay, so as far as the DuPont mod is concerned, I'll put a link to the article in the description. Tile over at Inner Fidelity, in his review of the HD800S, talks about the resonator that Sennheiser used, which is the little foam ring that is inside where the driver is. It basically gets rid of the 6 kilohertz peak. Never really bothered me. I probably damaged my hearing pretty good when I was a teenager. So that's never really been an issue. The thing I'm most curious about is it also basically gives you more perceived bass and a little bit of warmth without sacrificing all that great detail in the huge soundstage that the headphones are famous for. The measurements that Tile did with the HD800S and the HD800 with the SuperDupont mod, the measurements are actually very, very close. So this is going to actually get you a sound that's pretty close to the HD800S. Earlier in the video, I said that I thought we'd be using the 7/16. Actually, we're going to be using the 1/2 inch punch for this. So basically all you're going to do for the DuPont mod is you're going to put the punch right in the center, and you're basically going to hammer your mallet down onto it until you get a nice little ring, and then you're going to do it a second time to your smaller ring with the 3/16 inch, again right there, right in the center, so that you're going to have a nice little donut shape. You'll do it with the furniture pad slider, and then you'll do it again with the Creatology foam. Alright, well, it Took a little doing, but this is basically what you're looking for right here. So make two nice little donut shapes with the furniture pad and the Creatology foam. Basically, you're going to super glue everything together. Now, the last piece of the SuperDupont mod is going to be at the very bottom of this. You need a solid circular like piece of paper or something underneath it. It's important to note that this will not be a donut. It's just a solid piece. And basically all I did was I took the paper, the glossy paper that the furniture pads were on, and I took my punch, just gave it like a nice tap with the mallet, and it gave me these nice little circles. Just do like a couple little dabs of super glue. Like that. Just kind of get it on. Just get it on there like that. And then on the other side of the felt is where you're going to a couple more little dabs of super glue. And just put your little solid piece of paper right on there. Just like so. So that is your actual SuperDupont mod. And basically, I'm just going to let this dry. Alright, so the DuPont mod, they've been sitting for a couple of hours now. Just let them dry naturally. So they're pretty solid now. And also these rings right here will come out after you take out those 4 star-shaped screws. Now what we're actually going to be doing is removing this, I don't know what it is. It's like a very fine mesh that protects, it's over the actual driver right here. So this is probably the most harrowing part of the entire process is this right here. But as long as you take your time, you should be fine. The trick is going to be for me doing this and actually so you can see what I'm doing. So I've already done this once, so it's going to be a little bit easier probably, but the first time you do it, it definitely feels like you're going to, like, you know, destroy something. So just very gently start. You see these little grooves here. Very, like, just kind of push your finger in there, and there's a little glue, just a little bit of glue, and you can sort of peel it away with your fingernail. And this is also where your needle nose pliers are going to come in. But just kind of push it in just very gently on a couple of these, and you'll actually start to see this mesh kind of coming away from the plastic ring. And if you work your fingernails in there very gently and very slowly, eventually this whole mesh will start peeling back. And if you rub your finger too, that will also help kind of get it loosened up. So I'm going to keep working at this. You really have to be patient on this part because it does take a while. And as you can see, I'm already starting to get a little piece coming off here. And there it goes right there. So eventually you will get a little piece that you can get a hold of. And once you get that piece right there, very slowly just peel it back. And, you know, go extra slow here. This glue it'll actually reseal. It's a very gummy, very sticky glue. So as long as you don't, you know, rub your fingers all over this stuff and just pull from one direction, it'll come right off. And you don't even have to take the whole thing off. Just go down until you can get to the circle. That's our spot right there. So take that, put it right down in there, boom, just like that. It just slid right in there. So then all you're going to do is just let go of that, put it back down, and very carefully just rub it back on, because that glue that glue will seal right back up to the plastic. I mean, this is good stuff. I don't know what Sennheiser's using, but that's good shit right there. So just kind of run your finger over it very gently, and you cannot even tell that I ripped this thing apart. So look at that. Nice. Very nice. And we're done. So both drivers now have the SuperDupont, as you can see right there in the middle. Try to get it in the light. You can see there's very little gap in there. I mean, it's a pretty tight fit. It's pretty snug in there. So they're not like wiggling around or anything. And you can't see anything from the other side at all. So you won't even be able to see these once we reassemble it. Alright, so the paint job is done. This Rust-Oleum stuff actually did a pretty decent job. Dried pretty evenly. It's pretty sturdy. I gave it like a little scratch test, and it's on there. And these, I actually had another can of sort of like a metallic textured Rust-Oleum, so I did just the circle parts with that paint, just to give it like a nice little, I don't know, kind of a different kind of accent to it. We'll see how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the HD 800s now and make sure they still work. Alright, so it's been a couple of days now. I've been listening to the modded HD 800, and when I first plugged it in, honestly, I didn't know which I preferred, either the original sound or the HD 800 SuperDupont sound. But I gotta say, after a few days, I'm definitely gonna stick with this mod. I'm not gonna change it back to stock. I'm keeping the mod because it definitely, I mean, it is noticeably warmer. Like you can notice that right off the bat. It's not terribly subtle, but it just adds this extra layer of weight to the sound that I never really knew that I wanted in the HD 800, but I think it sounds great. All the detail is still there. The wide soundstage is still there. The sparkle is still there. It just gives it this nice added warmth, and everything just seems to be nice and smoothed out. I really like the mod. When comparing it to my newest pair of headphones, the Mr. Speakers Ether, I mean, these are great. But I gotta say that I much prefer the sound of the modded HD 800 personally, just for my preferences. Sometimes I feel like the Ether is a little too neutral, and the HD 800 with the SuperDupont mod is just, it's a little more engaging, more musical to me. Yeah, I would say the mod is a success. I think the paint came out pretty nicely. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if this is something that you might want to try, or if you have any questions or anything. I'll do my best to answer. I'm not, super technical with this stuff. It was just basically just a project I wanted to try out. I would say, though, that the mod is definitely, I would say it's worth it. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you click on that link to the article over at Inner Fidelity, they really get into the science of everything, and they have all of your measurements there. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.